Hello and welcome to the third part of video 4 of our course on mobile data collection using the Kobo toolbox. My name is Wilfred Ngwa. In our last video, we finished the configuration of questions from our questionnaire on adverse events following immunization using the KoBoToolbox XLS Form builder. In this video, we will be looking at how to add constraints and constraint messages to our forms. We will also look at how to perform calculations within our forms and also how to add skip logic patterns. I will also show you how to set a question to a read-only question and also how to make modifications to the appearance of your questions. All of these things we will be doing within the XLSForm builder. Without taking much time, let's get to business. Constraints are very useful when it comes to ensuring data quality during collection. As a matter of fact, one way to ensure data quality is to add constraints to the data fields in your forms. For example, in our question on number of vaccines, we might want to avoid impossible answers like negative numbers or numbers above 2, assuming that a maximum number of 2 vaccines can be administered to a subject at a time. To add a constraint, we simply go to the column called constraint and type in the formula specifying the limits on the answer. As I mentioned earlier, the answer for number of vaccines must be greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 2. The syntax to type in the constraint column is therefore dot is greater than or equal to 0 and dot is less than or equal to 2. Note that the dot in the formula refers to the question variable, or better still, the answer to the question. So you can read this syntax as the answer to this question must be greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 2. Another thing to add is the constraint message. This message will pop up once our rule or constraint is not respected. Number of doses must be greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 2 could be a great constraint message for our example. Also, I will paste the constraint message in French here. Let me go ahead and preview these changes to ensure that everything is working properly. I will save and close my APGuide help file and then move over to Kobo. Here we are in Kobo. I will replace my help file, replace form, then I click on the preview button here to preview my form. If we now come to the question on number of vaccines, if I type in 3, for example, you see our constraint message pops up. Number of doses must be greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 2. If I go up and change the language to French, automatically you see the language here in French. If I put, say, 1, you see our form accepts the entry. So that works. Constraints can also be added to telephone numbers to specify the required number of digits. Let's consider the patient telephone number question in our form. We want to set up a constraint such that only a telephone number that has 9 digits can be entered. If you're wondering why I chose 9 digits, that's because in my country, Cameroon, we use 9 digits for telephone numbers. We want a situation where if someone enters anything different from 9 digits, the entry will not be accepted. To do this, we use the regex syntax, which I will paste here. I will go ahead and paste my constraint message in English and then in French. Great. We save, close, then we can test. So if I type in my telephone number 67704, it has 9 digits, so the form accepts. If I add a 10th digit, then you see my constraint message pops up. If I take out 2 digits, and now we have 8, it doesn't accept. So we must have 9 digits. So it works. Note that the regex syntax works with the question type set to text. Also note that although the question type is set to text, the regex syntax we have used will only allow for numerical values. If your country has a 7 or 8 digit telephone number, simply change the 9 in the syntax to 7 or 8. Sometimes in Kobo, you may require an internal calculation to take place as part of the form rather than afterwards during analysis. This can be done by writing a mathematical expression into the calculation column. The question types that have been tested with this approach include the integer question type, which we only take numeric calculate functions. The text question type, which we only take string calculate functions. The not question type, which we only take question referencing and not calculate functions. The date question type, which we only take date calculate functions. And lastly, the time question type, which we only take time calculate functions. We saw earlier that to refer to the answer of a current question, we use the dot. To refer to the answer of another question, we use the syntax $ and then in curly brackets A, where A is the variable name of the question we are referring to. Let's make some sense out of all these long sentences. I want an internal calculation as a part of my form whereby age in years will be calculated automatically once date of birth is entered. I want the data collector to see the calculated age value so that he or she can confirm with the interviewee. So I will go to the age at onset question on our form and move to the calculation column and type in my formula. Let me go step by step so that you get the formula. In step 1, we subtract the date of today from the date of birth. So step 1, $, curly brackets open and close. And then I put this. If we leave the formula as it is, the result will be in days, but we want it in years. In step 2, we divide what we have here by 365 to convert to years. So we put everything in brackets and divide by 365. This looks good, but again, we don't have control over the number of decimal places. So let's set it to 1 decimal place. In step 3, we put everything yet again in brackets and then use the round syntax. Let's now preview and see if this works. Save, and then I close.
That works fine. Great.
Note that because our question type is set to integer, it wasn't necessary to add the round syntax. However, if our question type was set to decimal, then the round syntax added to our formula becomes necessary. If you are familiar with paper-based questionnaires, then you might have come across questions that read like this. If yes, then go to question 4. Mobile data collection makes this easy as the process can be automated using a skip logic. As mentioned in one of our previous videos, skip logic is also sometimes referred to as branching or relevant conditions. By default, all questions but for the calculate question types are always visible. Skip logic controls which question should be displayed only if a certain condition or set of conditions apply. Conditions are always applied to a question or a group. As such, the question or group will sometimes be hidden and sometimes be visible based on the conditions we assign. We add skip logics by making use of the relevant colon. In our form, we have these two questions. Investigation needed, which is a yes/no question, and then if yes, date of investigation planned. So the date of investigation planned question should only apply if one selects yes in the investigation question. To achieve this, we use the following syntax in the relevant colon. We can therefore read this syntax as if investigation needed is equal to 1, which corresponds to yes, then this question of date of investigation is valid. Otherwise, the question is not valid. Notice here that I put 1 instead of yes, because if we go to our choices, I have put here the name for the yes/no as 0 and 1. So if you change this to yes to no and yes, then you can now change the 1 to yes. But I use numerical quotations because they are easier when you're doing analysis. I will now go ahead and save, close, and test to see how this functions. For a select multiple question, the syntax is a little different. In our form, we have this question on adverse events from which we expect our data collector to select multiple answers from a list. If the person who is being interviewed says an event not found within our standard list, then we want our data collector to select the other specified answer and then specify the answer provided in the next question. We only want this next specified question to appear in our form if and only if other specified is selected from the list of adverse events. To do this, we use this syntax. What this says is that this question specifier is only relevant if adverse events, option number 12, is selected. And if we go to choices, we see that option number 12 corresponds to other specify. So I'll go ahead and save and test to see how this works. Adding a read-only field means that a question cannot be edited during data collection. Since we had made our age at onset question an automatically calculated question, making it to be read-only is quite useful as this will prevent the data encoder from making any edits unless he or she changes the date of birth. To do this, we made use of the read-only column. All we need to do is to type in yes in the read-only column. And we are done. I will save and close and test to see how this works. The appearance column allows you to change the appearance of questions in your form. In the AP Guide help file, you will find some useful appearance attributes you can use in your forms. In our form, we have this question on signature. Note that the question type is an image. If I type in signature in the appearance column, the data encoder will be able to use his computer mouse to sign if using a computer to collect data, or his finger to sign if using a mobile phone or tablet to collect data. Let's go ahead and test. We are at the end of this lesson, and thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. In our next video, we'll explore the other columns we didn't exploit in this video. Please remember to subscribe to our channel and visit our website for more useful information. The link is shared in the comment section below. Ciao.